There's time for our next presentation. So, how to do DNS with kindness. David Huberman, again, please welcome, and the floor is yours.
Okay, I am standing between you and fun, so I will be fast. A couple years ago, the Internet Society created a program to better improve the security posture of the routing infrastructure. As we've talked about today, both BGP and DNS, these building blocks of the internet, weren't built with any security in mind. And what we were seeing in the routing space were route hijacks, misconfigurations, and other routing events which we all knew about, and we knew we probably ought to do something to prevent, but no one had come up with a good solution. A couple of years ago, a couple of people sat around at a conference just like this. They came up with a solution. The Internet Society decided to fund it, and they came up with a program called MANRS. And MANRS is, as the English word suggests, practicing routing security in a way that is good and nice for all of those around you, having good manners. Today, MANRS is about RPKI. It's about issuing certificates for the route announcements that you originate, and it's about validating the route announcements that you accept as a transit provider. And this has been a very successful program, such that we see better routing security across the entire internet because we have wide-scale participation. So we thought about how can we apply this to the DNS world, because in DNS we have many of the same challenges. We have DNSSEC, which is supposed to be a really good solution for integrity of DNS data. Yet, only about 20% of the domain names out there are DNSSEC signed, and not all of the recursive resolvers out there are validating those signatures. So what can we do to increase DNSSEC adoption, DNSSEC uptake, and what can we do as an ecosystem to make the DNS a little bit more secure? And so what we came up with is kindness. Kindness stands for knowledge sharing and instantiating norms for DNS and naming security. And what kindness is a very simple program that is targeted at all DNS operators. It's not targeted to the big folks who have lots and lots of resources that they've committed to DNS. It's for everybody, whether you're a one-person company or shop running a DNS server, a university, an enterprise, a regional ISP, a national ISP, whoever you are, if you're running a recursive resolver, an authoritative name server, kindness is for you. What we did is we worked with some of the community experts and came up with some best practices that everybody should follow. To create these best practices, we broke down the DNS ecosystem into different types of operators. We have folks who operate name servers for top-level domains and other critical zones. And then we have those running name servers for all the other domains, for all the second-level domains and below. Additionally, we're targeting resolver operators. If you operate a closed resolver or a private resolver, we have best practices for you. Same with a shared private resolver. A shared private resolver is what an ISP runs. It's private, but it's shared among all the thousands or tens of thousands or millions of users of the ISP. And then, of course, there's also the public resolvers that are reachable from everyone in the world and are meant to be used by anyone who wants to point to them. And for each of these classifications of operators, we've come up with about 6, 7, or 8 best practices that the technical experts have all agreed you should apply uniformly for your service. And if you do so, you will help increase the security posture of the entire DNS ecosystem, which will help prevent more and more attacks which leverage some of the vulnerabilities in our DNS operations. So we've set up a website. The URL's at the end. It's www.kindness.org. And at that website, you can go as a DNS operator and you take a self-assessment. There's no information collected. It's all anonymous. And the output is just for you to use to improve your infrastructure. We've been doing this for about a year now. We have over 1,000 people who have taken the self-assessment. And what we're seeing is a couple of different trends. One of the interesting trends is people are using the self-assessment in kindness, not only to figure out where they're at, but also to use as ammunition to bring to the budget owners and say, hey, I need more resources, or we need to dedicate more time so that we can improve our security. We're also finding that there is a consistent weakness for the resolver operators, which is a failure to apply Q-name minimization. When you type in a domain name, www.google.lv, you are telling the recursive resolver operator and all of the authoritative operators who are helping to resolve that query your IP address, what you queried. Sometimes information leaks if you look in query logs about your devices, and you're giving timestamps. You're giving a lot of personal information to a lot of different companies that you didn't necessarily want to give your information to. Q-name minimization helps alleviate a lot of that, because instead of sending to all of the authoritative name servers all the information about your query, it simply breaks it up into the constituent parts. And to the root servers, it only sends .lv. And to the LV authoritative name servers, it only sends Google.lv. And only when you hit the authoritative name servers for Google.lv does it ask the entire query that you're really trying to get to, which is what is the IP address for www.google.lv. What's also nice about Q-name minimization is it comes at no cost. There's no time. It doesn't add overhead. It doesn't add even milliseconds. It simply works. It's a configuration option that you can turn on in your resolver to benefit everybody. We have been working on this for about a year. We're ready to move into phase 2. And the real takeaway from this is we need to do translations. We need to have the self-assessment and the kindness.org website available in lots and lots of different languages. We're also trying to promote it. We're trying to come to gatherings like this, to network operator group meetings, to other gatherings of DNS operators, or where we find people who are operating any type of DNS infrastructure. And we're trying to tell them, we're trying to socialize how important it is to take a few minutes, do the self-assessment, and see where you stand. And then when you can, adopt the best practices that you don't currently adopt. Finally, we're thinking about the future. We're thinking about what we can add that's important. This includes, should we require response rate limiting? Do we need to address split responsibilities when we have authoritative servers who have multiple roles? And then, of course, there's always questions about access. Do name servers and resolvers need to be reachable over IPv6? Yes. RPKI, should you be signing routes that have DNS infrastructure behind them? There are some pluses and some minuses to that. So that's really it. I told you I was going to be quick, and I'm making good on my promise. Please, when you have some time, go to www.kindness.org, take the self-assessment, see how you're doing, and please adopt the best practices that fit your category. And that's it. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you very much, David. And actually, I don't see any questions in the Menti for you. But there is some lag. We've noticed today there is some lag. Maybe they haven't reached the iPad yet, but oh no, I have a question for you. Don't put it back. I think you can just take the mic. So quite a few of the self-assessment criteria can be automatically tested.
Yes.
Do you have reasons not to have tooling for the criteria?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. Our friends at AFNIC, who I think are most well known for running .fr, they run a tool called ZoneMaster, which I think many of you may be familiar with. And on the ZoneMaster site, there is automatic testing for kindness. That is fairly new. It's been piloting very well, and it is certainly our intention to add that automatic testing right into the kindness.org site. So our thanks to our friends at AFNIC for building that and testing it out.
Thank you very much. And so far, no more questions for you. Thank you.